What is the AP poll doing? What are we doing? What is the AP poll? What is our stated goal here? Because a lot of you have just mailed it in. I'm going to have Colin show you these rankings, and I've got no problem with the top teams. Like Oregon's number 1. They should be. Georgia, okay. I'm not going to point out their flaws because like everyone's got flaws here. Ohio State's number 3. Miami's number 4. Now, I will say, when you see the JP poll on Tuesday night, there will be a little detachment. I'm not going to have Miami that high. So the model has a little disagreement on how high it would have Miami. But remember, the AP poll and the JP poll are doing two totally different things. So, yeah, if I was ranking teams, I'd have Miami up there. They're undefeated. And so, yeah, I have no problem with that. Texas at 5, I'm good with. Penn State's at 6. Now, I told you last week we had Penn State as one of the more overrated teams from a pure odds-making perspective, as there was, not overrated in rankings terms. Well, now they're down to 6. We had Penn State, what, Jesse, like 8 or 9 last week. We probably won't drop them a whole lot this week, truth be told, but we're still not as high on them as the AP is. Tennessee's at 7. I'm okay with that. We'll have them a little bit lower than that. Indiana's at 8, and here's the crazy part. I pretty much agree. JP poll will not have Indiana much lower than 8. I can't believe the words are coming out of my mouth. That's why I pause when I say that. Brigham Young at 9. Good to go. Good to go. We have exempted Brigham Young from the JP poll, from the model. The model is not to even speak the name BYU anymore. So we put them wherever you want to. I'll be good with it. Notre Dame's at 10. Okay. Bama, 11. Okay. Boise's at 12. Now, this is another detachment team because Boise's 7-1. They're going to be ranked higher than the model will have them. Model's pretty fixed on Boise now in the high teens to low 20s range. Boise's okay. They're set. They control their own destiny. SMU at 13. I'm good with them. Really, really sneaky team right now. LSU and A&M, 14-15. I'm good. Now we get to the most underrated team in the country, and that's Ole Miss. Ole Miss is down at 16. Off the top of my head, there are probably 8 or 9 teams ranked ahead of Ole Miss that I would love to take Ole Miss against if they played tomorrow. Neutral field, of course. So they've got it to do. They've got Georgia this Saturday, so they'll validate themselves or invalidate themselves one way or another. I will just tell you this. If Ole Miss plays Georgia to within 3 and they lose Saturday, that would not bump them down much in my mind. The AP would bump them down because it's a loss, and you are what your record says you are. One of the biggest lies in college football. So Ole Miss, let's just bookmark them. Let's just keep an eye on them. Iowa State at 17, okay. Army, the model, I have told it, don't even bother with service academies. Military and Mormons, you are not to grade. So Brigham Young and Army are both off the board. Rank them anywhere you want to. Clemson is 19 now. I whiffed on Clemson. Excuse me, I didn't whiff on Clemson because I don't get the blame. I just get the credit. The model, here is the culprit. The model whiffed on Clemson. You idiot. You had Clemson top 5. You had Clemson over Miami. What do you know? You're just a computer. What do you know? See, that's how we deal with it around here. I have never been wrong on predictions. I've never been wrong on rankings. Either kids, coaches, officials, or the model screw it up, and it makes me look wrong. And it hurts. But it's if you need to take one thing and one thing only from tonight's show, just know this. It's not my fault. Clemson was not my fault. It was the model's fault. Clemson is now 19th in the AP, and I don't know where we're going to have him in the JP poll Tuesday night, but it will not be number 5. Let me just assure you of that. Washington State's 20th. We're not even close. The JP poll and the AP poll are not even close on Washington State. And I'd be willing to bet over half of the AP voters have not watched a Washington State game. I'm not lying and telling you I've been glued to every one of them, but I know they haven't. And I'm not voting. They're voting. I'm not voting. Colorado is at 21. I got no problem with it, and they were the biggest winner yesterday. They sat at home, bye week, and man, everyone else fell around them. Kansas State fell, Iowa State fell, and Colorado's just smiling. Deion looks like he does in one of many commercials. He's just smiling. There he goes. Kansas State at 22, okay. Pitt, they dropped to 23. You guys are still way too high on Pitt. You're just way too high on Pitt. I spent the night last night in Pittsburgh. I got no problem with Pittsburgh. We're still not close here. We're not close. You got Pitt rated 23rd. Vandy 24, good for them. Louisville 25, probably underrated. Where in the world is South Carolina? What are we watching the same sport? From the same group that had Missouri still ranked 25th last week, or 2 weeks ago, or whenever that was, we watched, or I think we all watched, South Carolina just body bag A&M last night. Are you watching Lenora Sellers? Or do you see this pass rush they have? Did you see that place last night? You think they're 25 teams better than South Carolina in the country right now? They lost by a field goal to LSU with the most suspect officiating I've seen this year, and their quarterback going down in the first half. They lost by 2 on the road to Bama. Their other losses to Ole Miss. I guess you are what your record says you are. Now you see why I call that one of the biggest lies in college football. Hey, if everyone played the same schedule, have at it. You are exactly what your record says you are. Does anyone in their right mind doubt what South Carolina would have done had they played Indiana's schedule so far? All due respect, had they played Pitt's schedule so far? Of course you don't. I'd love to do a little thought experiment and just toss South Carolina in the ACC this year for old time's sake. What would that look like? Now, of course, we can't do that. No one's asking to do that. But, man, if you think that there are 25 better teams in the country than South Carolina right now, drugs. Choose Zevia, not drugs. See, people who sip on Zevia understand South Carolina's a top 25 team. Dare I say they're a top 20 team. But they'll back it up for me. You guys will come around on South Carolina. You know it, and I know it. You'll end up having them ranked, and it'll be too little too late. And I don't know. I don't know. Those feel like ballots. Those feel like AP ballots that were mailed in. And I mean that in every sense of the word. You guys mailed this one in. South Carolina's a top 25 team.